Good evening and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Ojiji-Ochi with the news. Now the details. 195 new cases of infected COVID-19 persons have been confirmed by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, as at 11:50 p.m. on the 28th of April this year. With this figure, 50 cases are in Lagos, 38 in Kano, 15 in Ogun and Bauchi respectively, 11 in Borno and 10 in Gombe. Others are Sokoto with 9 cases, 5 in Edo and Jigawa respectively, and 2 cases in Zamfara State, Rivers, Enugu Delta, the FCT and Nasarawa states have 1 case each, bringing the total figure to 1,532 cases in Nigeria. 255 persons are discharged and death record stands at 44. One of the fears expressed by medical experts since the first index case of COVID-19 in Nigeria is that of community transmission. With the development in Kano State and other rural communities in parts of the country, guests on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live want holistic approach towards rapid intervention and proper attention to the environment to contain the spread. Doing Dia reports.
Coronavirus, a pestilence which started with an index case in Ogun State, Nigeria, now a national emergency, with the figures rising to over 1,000 containing the spread of this deadly disease, therefore became imperative, with both federal and state government reaching an agreement on how best to achieve the mission, some of which are the restriction of movement of persons from one location to another, ban on interstate travels and public gathering, as well as stipulated hygiene protocols, an approach which already got commendation from the World Health Organization. But sadly, the fight against coronavirus pandemic may be taking another dimension with the suspicion of community transmission of the deadly virus in some part of the country. Guests on the program made critical evaluation of the federal government response and its impact on the spread of the disease.
We saw over the news, the NCDC, the high-powered delegation are already in Kano. Even the National Assembly, they have gone there, so they are trying to ascertain the cause of this death, and they are trying to see how they can start containing this death that is always rising. So it's a very welcome development, and the public must welcome such things because it's in their best interest.
And one thing we have noticed is the level of mobilization, societal mobilization. Almost everyone is playing a part in this, and this is what I think we should commend Nigerians for.
The gradual reopening, which a lot of countries are doing, again, is the proactiveness of Mr. President. In the last ECOWAS video conferencing, they recognized that and named him the champion of COVID-19 fight in the Africa sub-region.
Compliance to the stipulated guidelines, environmental factors, and community awareness were also examined by the experts.
About 80% of diseases, infectious diseases and others, are environmentally based. You keep your environment healthy, the number of diseases you will see will be minimal. The number of people that will be going to doctors will be minimal. So this is about environment, and this is what we must understand.
Since the infection has started lingering within the community, I think it is the responsibility of the environmental workforce to really make sure that they have enforced the sanitation and also hygiene protocols as provided in the public health law that is guiding their action in the communities.
In each state in this country, people have volunteers to help government to the extent they allow us to do so.
Unfortunately, the way I see it, Nigerians are either not obeying the physical distancing, or they don't really understand what this physical distancing means.
The guests expressed confidence that the response approach taken by the federal and state governments would make a remarkable impact in winning the war against the pandemic. In Abuja, doing Dia NT News.
Following President Muhammadu Buhari's broadcast on COVID-19, Abubakar Usman Akwanga samples reactions from some Nigerians on the partial relaxation of the lockdown from the 4th of May 2020.
Experience in the city center of Abuja remains the same as measures are being strengthened by government and relevant stakeholders at all levels to contain the spread of coronavirus pandemic. As the president addresses Nigerians on the state of affairs on the fight against the global pandemic, Nigerians have continued to react on the review of lockdown with effect from 4th May 2020 and other issues generated from COVID-19.
The most important thing is prevention. And so long as we will be disciplined enough to observe those regulations of washing our hands regularly, using sanitizers, maintaining social distancing, and using face mask, we could prevent a lot.
We need to take care of those that are affected. But then the economy have to go forward because all this while it has been granted. The economy has been granted. Okay, like personally, as you see me on the wheelchair, I used to do my own business like the church and whatever, but I cannot.
And I must say it's a welcome one. I really love that speech, and I wish the president can continue extending this lockdown. It's our own good. So whoever that says it's not good. But for me, it's a welcome one. And I wish the president to continue like this till the virus leave Nigeria.
The latest presidential broadcast, no doubt, may have come with great relief to some Nigerians. But one thing is certain, as we go about our lawful businesses and engagement, it is pertinent to observe all the outlying advisories by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, as well as Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, as the virus cannot be locked down during the period of partial relief. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Thank you, Abubakar. Following complaints from Plateau State residents that some travelers still find their way into the state from neighboring states in spite of the border closure, the state police commander is taking measures to tighten security in all entry routes to the state. The outgoing Commissioner of Police, Isaac Akimoyede, stated this while on border monitoring to ascertain the level of compliance with government directive. Abdul Wahab Babankanti has more.
The compliance monitoring exercise of the phase 3 lockdown, led by the Commissioner of Police and other security agencies, is to ensure all entry routes to Plateau State are adequately manned. It is also to address the issues of persons sneaking into the state, as this has continued to pose great danger to government effort at curtailing the spread of the pandemic.
Gone to the border between Plateau State and Kaduna State. That's the Jingri-Saminaka border. And from there we have moved here to see what is happening here. And at that point, it was near perfect in terms of compliance. Here too, the same thing. Usually you have some defiance.
Meanwhile, with the sighting of mobile courts at each entry route to prosecute violators, 6 persons from Kano State have been arrested and quarantined.
We are trying to see that we smell, and with the help of the police force and with the help of the enforcement agents that will help us so that we bring an end to those laws.
Combined security operatives visited borders between Plateau and Kaduna State, as well as that with Bauchi State. In Jos, Abdulwahab Bankanti, NTA News.
From Plateau, let's now go to Lagos and join Ruth for an update on COVID-19. Hello, Ruth.
Hello, Lydia. Key players in the maritime sector are reviewing the effects of the coronavirus pandemic on port operation with a view to adopting a more pragmatic approach in cargo evacuation. Michael Olale reports.
In spite of the COVID-19 lifelines for investors in the maritime sector, it is disheartening that cargo evacuation still stands below 35%. The Nigerian Shippers Council is however warning of a looming congestion due to 95% yard occupancy at a time. Investors ought to take advantage of the various incentives to clear their cargoes. This interactive forum with the organized private sector is to work out modalities leveraging on automation of transaction and multimodal approach to cargo evacuation in solving the challenge.
We are looking at the standard operating procedure. As long as we get the TDOs, rail will be coming, to the port to, bring out, cargo, but even more significantly, take empties and export, into the cargo, into the terminals. So this is, we have barge, we have the rail, we have the truck. So even it's giving a good run, money for hauliers who sometimes hold us to ransom.
The restriction of interstate movement is another challenge affecting cargo evacuation, as some trucks are presently trapped at various locations across the country. The organized private sector called for action while appealing to government agencies to reduce the regulatory fees payable at the ports.
There is this massive competition to increase levies and force the payment of levies. You are squeezing gradually lives out of the businesses.
We must put in place mechanism that will ensure liquidity in the foreign exchange market, so that anybody that wants to do foreign transaction can do it with ease.
All parties agreed to streamline efforts at stimulating exports by providing finance, establishing markets and logistic chain of supply. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
The continuous support for the needy and the vulnerable in the society has become imperative due to the restriction of movement to prevent the deadly coronavirus. This was evident at Idiaraba community, where the Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association extends their hand of fellowship to the vulnerable in that community. Lynn Leneke reports.
200 families selected in the Idiaraba area of Mushin local government each received 110 kg bag of semolina, 3-liter kg of groundnut oil, 5 kg bag of gari, and same measure of rice and beans, in addition to the healthy package of at least 30 sachets of tomato paste and food seasonings. The chairperson of FOA Logistics Command Lagos, Nanfe Alao, who was represented, explained that the outreach and distribution of food items to widows and the less privileged was done without bias for ethnic and religious affiliation. She advised beneficiaries to maintain social distancing, wash their hands regularly, and imbibe safety measures.
We know that Idiaraba have a lot of very vulnerable people and poor people. And part of our motto in the NAFOA is service to humanity.
Because each one will take at least 3 weeks for a family. It's a very, very welcome development. We are very, very happy with it.
Not like this. We have been getting some something, but not like this. This is very special, and we are very happy.
And we didn't just want to give the norm. Just one, something that can take a family of 4 for about 2 weeks, considering the lockdown keeps extending. So that's the reason why we came here. And you can see from the smiles on the faces of the people here, we were quite received well. And there's nothing compared to the joy that you see on faces when you give.
The outreach is part of activities marking the 56th anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
It's back to Lydia in Abuja for more on Nationwide after this break.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind us all that this pandemic is spreading like wildfire. We must all arise to fight this potent and invisible common enemy by adhering to the guidelines and protocols for COVID-19, which includes personal hygiene, social distancing. We must wear masks in public places, obeying the stay-at-home order, and reporting unusual illness to the authorities for investigation.
Ramadan is here again, and we at Al-Habibiyah Islamic Society once again call on all faithful to observe the physical and social distancing directive of the government to curb the spread of COVID-19. Always wash your hands with soap and water, use hand sanitizers and face masks when necessary, and stay at home. Observe your obligatory salat, tarawih, tahajjud, du'as, and askars with your families from the comfort of your home. Stay at home, stay safe, stop the spread of COVID-19. This message is from Al-Habibiyah Islamic Society, from Allah to you, alight.
As a strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19, a corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 22 55 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
Do you not know that our enemies have no face? They are indigents of no state. They come from no place. And if this boat capsizes, every one of us will go under. So when the drums sound, let everybody answer. Do not say, I am the Iroko when the forest is burning. Do not say, I am the Obeche when the forest is burning. Our differences will not stop us from perishing together. So when the drums sound, let everybody answer.
You're welcome back. Kogi State is one of the states in Nigeria without any case of COVID-19. Now, what's the state doing to remain so? Let's hook up with the state's Commissioner of Information, Kingsley Fanwo, to share with us measures put in place by the state to remain so. Good afternoon, Commissioner, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us on Nationwide.
Thank you.
Now, can you let us into the situation in Kogi State now?
Yeah, this is the 29th day of April 2020. and I can confirm that we still have 0 case of coronavirus in the state. We've been able to achieve this feat because of the way we've been able to sensitize our people and let them know they have to take personal responsibilities in order to avoid contracting the virus. Also, in terms of the policies of government, we shut down all our schools to stop the spread of the virus via school children. We also shut down our workplaces to workers between GL1 to GL13 to stop the spread of the virus through the workplaces. And also we have been able to put in place the people we call health surveillance officers at each of our 239 wards in the state to be able to monitor people who come into the state. We've been able to put these measures in place in order to ensure that people don't import the virus to the state. So we are doing very fine in terms of our policies, in terms of our actions, and in terms of measures to ensure that the virus does not spread in the state.
Okay, now, Commissioner, we sincerely hope that it remains so. Now, but in case of an eventuality, what measures are on the ground to tackle the situation?
Yeah, that's why we decided to. That's why we decided to ensure that we have our isolation and containment centers in 3 locations in the state, and those centers have been put in proper shape to deal with any eventuality. But we are not praying to have the virus in the state, and that is why we are stepping up our sensitization as we know that prevention is cheaper, better, and safer than cure.
Definitely. Now, the state, as we all know, is gateway to the FCT from various parts of the country. Now, how are you coping with the inflow of people at this time?
Yeah, like the governor said last week, in a very brilliant way, technically, Kogi has been on a lockdown, technically. Kwara was locked down, Niger was locked down, Nasarawa was locked down, FCT was locked down. You need to pass through all these places before you can enter Kogi State. So the traffic to the state has reduced drastically in the last 3 weeks. So we are monitoring, and all our entry points are manned by health officers. Before you come into the state, we ensure that we take the mild tests to know whether the person has a high risk or low risk of carrying the virus. So we are policing our borders, and we know that at the end of the day, we will continue to be free.
Okay, now, have you had any cause to actually turn back travelers from entering the state for any reason at all?
No. There's no reason for that because we know that we could actually check those coming into the state, and we have points within the. For instance, if you are passing through Lokoja to Enugu, there are points that you will be stopped. They will check the passengers. You cannot just drop passengers anywhere within Lokoja metropolis. You have to drop the passenger with the surveillance officers at the entrance of the state. So they will know, they will be able to check the passenger. And that's why when we have the issue of the rumor of people who were desperate to carry out the virus in the state, saying some people went to Angpa, some people, we had surveillance officers who were on ground, and there was nothing like that. So that's why we are still free till date.
Oh, thank you so much, Commissioner of Information, Kogise. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Kingsley Fanwo. Now, the FCT administration commenced a community active case search since February, sensitizing and collecting samples of residents to conduct tests for COVID-19. Rosemary Motleng-Bilal reports that the health workers are appealing to the communities to always give correct means of identification in case they need to be contacted.
Community case search moved to Lube, Amak Area Council in continuation of free testing.
There is no cure for COVID-19, but it is very important we all test.
In a chat with Chief Nursing Officer and Health Educator, Public Health Department, and not to be true, she expressed dissatisfaction with some members of the community who gave fake phone numbers.
Please, every person that comes for this screening
should please give us the correct number, or if you don't even have a phone, somebody you are confining on. The reason is this: if the result is out and we find out that the person is positive, there is that number that we use to get the person.
Dr. Mohammed Kawu said, though the health workers are facing challenges in various communities, they are gradually being resolved.
It's an issue. There's no point shying away from that. Real addresses are not there. You have the numbers. If you are lucky to pick the numbers, it's easy. There are challenges, but we are working hard to ensure that anybody confirmed is moved to the treatment center.
Some community members lauded the initiative.
We are very grateful. It's helpful.
Community tracing is actually the best way.
The community active case search is being intensified to nip in the broad community transmission and reap the FCT of coronavirus. Rosemary Molteleng Bilal, NTA News.
The $3.4 billion rapid financial instrument secured by Nigeria from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is coming with a 1% interest rate. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed made the disclosure to the Nigerian Television Authority in her flagship finance and economy program, Business Express.
A positive development for our country. The fact that we have within a very short time been able to meet the requirements to access this $3.4 billion, which is equivalent to our shareholding in the IMF is a good story. This is an excellent facility. It is at an interest rate of 1%. We have a 3.25 years moratorium and a 5-year repayment period. There are no extraneous conditions attached to this facility. The IMF has suggested that they can provide technical support to us to help us address some of the underlying challenges in the areas of revenue, and also in the areas of fiscal consolidation as well as fiscal governance and a unification of the exchange rate. So it's a good development for our country. It will help us to stabilize the economy in view of the very significant shock we have seen from the decline of the crude oil price.
That was the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, talking on the IMF $3.4 billion facility. The Federal Capital Territory Administration remains committed to curbing the spread of COVID-19 as well as management and treatment of the virus. Acting Secretary, FCT Health and Human Services Secretariat, Dr. Mohammed Kawu, reiterated this at the official takeover of Karu General Hospital as isolation and treatment center for COVID-19.
Hospital is one of the 14 district hospitals in the Federal Capital Territory. The Acting Secretary, FCT Health and Human Services Secretariat, Dr. Mohammed Kawu, inspected the facility, a part of which has now been converted to serve as isolation and treatment center to address COVID-19 cases.
This hospital was not built for purpose. It was built as a general hospital, but we want to convert it to COVID-19 treatment center. So the Works Department of FCDA had to come in and do some restructuring. So they have handed over to us so that we as the health sector will now fix the beds, fix the other things and start admitting. For would-be patients, everybody knows community transmission has commenced. So this facility being here is going to solve a lot of our problems. Should we have cases coming from Karanyanya, we don't have to ferry them into the city.
Director Dr. Ede Ojo also noted that the hospital is all set to take up the challenge of managing COVID-19 patients.
We have closed down our inpatient services, that's admissions, into the behavioral medicine unit, but our outpatient clinics remain open, and we also attend to emergencies in the behavioral medicine unit of the hospital.
They appealed to residents of the area not to panic, as all necessary precautions have been put in place to ensure their safety, while they are also expected to follow basic guidelines to stay safe from the coronavirus. In Abuja, Hakimat Aliu, NTA News.
And now we'll link up with our Enugu studio where Mina is standing by with more reports on Nationwide. You're next, Mina.
Hello Lydia, good afternoon and welcome to Enugu. Anambra State government has relaxed lockdown and directs the opening of churches, food markets and restaurants in the state. Ndem Carlo has the details of this report.
In this case, who was discharged after being tested negative for the second time, is said to have reunited with his family members. Governor Obiano stated that 68 samples submitted have all returned negative, apart from one that is being awaited.
We are encouraged to work harder, to fight harder, and to sacrifice even more to keep Anambra State free from COVID-19.
The governor directs the opening up of movement, churches, food markets, and restaurants within the state, but noted that people must wear face masks, obey social distancing, provide hand wash facilities, and hand sanitizers. He commended those that have supported the state and those in front line of fighting the pandemic.
Church leaders should direct how best to conduct mass and service in strict adherence to the principles of social distancing to ensure that worshippers are not endangered. Please note that there should be no crusades and vigils until further notice.
Other markets are expected to reopen after a meeting with the governor and market leaders, as well as schools and government offices. From Aguli, Ndem Carlo, NTN News.
The chairperson of Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association and wife of Air Officer Commanding Ground Training Command Enugu, Mrs. Hafizat Idi Amin, has led a delegation to distribute food items to the less privileged at the Ubowa Abakwanike Enugu as part of efforts to alleviate the sufferings of indigents occasioned by the lockdown order due to COVID-19. Chika Ugu completes the report.
I'm very happy, and God will continue to bless them, both promotion and otherwise.
I say thank you to Air Force who gave us these items. May God bless them in Jesus' name.
And also Base Commander, may Almighty God bless them, give them life abundantly, give them more promotion.
These are the reactions of some of the beneficiaries that received palliatives from the Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association, Enugu. The food items distributed includes bags of rice, bags of gari, cartons of noodles, vegetable oil, tin tomatoes, and salt. Presenting the food items, the chairperson of NAFOWA and wife of the Air Force Commanding Ground Training Command Enugu, Mrs. Hafizat Idi Amin, says the gesture is in compliance with the directive of the national president of NAFOWA to complement the efforts of the federal government to prevent further spread of coronavirus pandemic.
So in service to humanity, we feel let us help the less privileged stay at home, because we know if they are out, this virus will continue to spread.
We'll now join a live broadcast, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 briefing.